Yes, folks, welcome to MoDXtra Games Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel. I'm known online as the True Mr. Six, and for the regular viewers out there, it's a quiet week. I have got nothing to review right now. Can you believe it? There's some pre-orders that I think should be on the way out imminently. Got a Trouble Bubble on the way, a Shockwave on the way, maybe some McFarlane stuff that I've had pre-ordered for a while, but in the absence of anything else, I thought I'd just get on camera and have a chat with the regulars. So any YouTube channel worth their salt does a bit of the news, don't they? Although I'm not copying, I am drawing inspiration. So yeah, sit back, chill out, get yourself a brew, and listen to me waffle on some more True Mr. Six ramblings on MoDXtra Games Collectibles about some pieces of news that have caught my eye this week. I've even given it a name. What do you reckon to this? I've called it...
Listen to your friend Chris.
Good? Bad? Let me know in the comments down below, but stick around for 6 seconds. Let's talk about some news that have caught my eye. I'm going to get this show on the road then, and I'm going to start by talking about McFarlane Toys. Todd is relentless in his figure announcements, and I'm just going to point out a few that caught my eye, but this is just a handful of an absolute bucket ton of figures that Todd has been advertising of late. And I've said on the channel before, I'm a massive DC fanboy. I'd probably argue that I'm more of a DC fanboy than I am a Marvel fanboy, but I find myself collecting Marvel-related stuff a lot more than I do DC-related stuff. I think Marvel Legends action figures are better than the McFarlane action figures in some degrees. Just generally the broad merchandising stuff around the Marvel selection is better than what the Warner Brothers DC Comics machine puts out. So, you know, some things catch my eye, some things don't, so I collect a bit of McFarlane, but the relentless volume of character announcements just in DC Multiverse alone, but I noticed there's been some other stuff this week that I'm not particularly interested in. However, the one that I am particularly excited about is the classic look Wonder Woman. We have waited far too long for Todd to produce one of these. It's very typical McFarlane behaviour, just spawnify everything up, McFarlaneise it with, you know, a focus on versions of the characters that have got chains and spikes and, you know, spiked punchy gloves and just going dark and gritty and grim wherever possible. And finally, that DC Trinity on your shelf is complete. So if you've got a Batman, you've got a Superman, this will look great with the Action Comics 1001 Superman and, you know, like the Jim Lee Batman that they did, or the Nightfall Batman. And we've got just a good solid chunk of Wonder Woman there. Lasso, sword, shield, warrior princess, boom, classic look uniform. I would probably argue the only thing that's not so classic look is it's the more modernised belt there, but that's fine. You know, she's not got any chains hanging off her. She's not vampiric. She's not, you know, she's not in a grim, dark, alternative universe where it requires suits of armour with big spikes on it or whatever. You know, it's not death metal. It's nothing like that. You know, there's no evil forces at work. She's just a straight up slab of good quality Wonder Woman. I'm very, very pleased to see that in the collection. This one will definitely be a pre-order and is going up this week, I believe, if the Instagram post that accompanied this picture on McFarlane's official, if my recollection is correct. I'll pop some words up somewhere if I'm wrong. Of course, the Todd he giveth and he taketh away, because we've seen this guy this week as well being previewed and available for pre-order, probably by the time I get this video out. Clearly inspired by the Return of Superman storyline from the mid-90s-ish with the mullet hair. In fact, the trading card there that you can see on the trading card stand is Dan Jurgens' artwork, although I don't think it's OG 90s artwork there. I think that's a variant cover that was used for something recently, but it's Dan Jurgens who was drawing a lot of Superman stuff at that time in the 90s. So it's all right. The problem is, going to, you know, what bums me out piece of it is that they've used the Dark Knight Returns book on the figure, and it's just this like massive, homunculus, like muscle-bound meathead WWE wrestler cosplaying as Superman, or like a hulked-up Bruce Banner throwing on the Superman outfit. And I think it's even more egregious that they've got Dan Jurgens' artwork on the trading card, which shows the kind of aesthetic proportions of the character in that era. So I'll be giving this one a miss. But I'm kind of hankering for something new in the Superman space. My Action Comics 1001 edition of Superman from McFarlane Toys. It's all right, but I feel like just all these different versions, and there's been loads. He's not long back announced a 30s version with the old school S on it from the throwing the car cover, and I'm sure I saw another one knocking around the other day. It was like a different Superman. Oh yeah, with a big cheesy grin, looks like a cartoon character. So I'm hankering for another Superman, but this one just ain't it. And while we're on the weirder decision side of McFarlane Toys, we got Captain Carrot here. Is it Captain Carrot or Captain Crunch or whatever his name is? From the Zoo Crew, which I don't think... have the Zoo Crew even featured or appeared in a comic book in recent years? I'm not sure they have. I remember them as a kid in the 80s. Maybe a cameo here or there, perhaps. But yeah, it's all right. I mean, there's obviously demand for the more idiosyncratic, wacky characters out there. This one's fun. It's quirky. You know, it's a good giggle. It's not for me. It does hurt me a little bit that we're seeing characters like this being produced by Todd before we get perhaps more ubiquitous, quirky characters like Gnaut. You know, I'd love a Gnaut in the Green Lantern classic sort of 80s and 90s Green Lantern there. Although, to be fair, is Gnaut still knocking around? I don't feel like I've seen Gnaut in a comic book for a good decade now. Probably has. I'm not reading quite as heavily. So it's there. There's a gold edition as well with green trunks on, which is fine. This is the collector's edition here with the trading card stand. I'll be skipping this, but it just seems a bit, I don't get the decision-making process at McFarlane Toys. I don't understand Todd's decisions. Like, right, I want a quirky character. Let's just go for something really random and obscure from the 80s, a Zoo Crew character, rather than picking someone who's got, a bit more natural association with the fan base, but there we go. That said, when I do particularly enjoy McFarlane Toys is when we've got some good, classic, solid, OG superhero spandex uniform looks, and this Animal Man has definitely caught my eye. I love the Grant Morrison Vertigo run in the late 90s or mid 90s. Really big fan of that storyline, and therefore I've always had a soft spot for Animal Man in my heart. I've seen actually, the picture was released after I prepped up this video, but there's a version of the preview photos with a little bear that accompanies him as well, which is nice, and that's obviously therefore a bear claw that he's morphing into there on the right hand. It's reused book, but that's fine. It's spandex superhero. He'll look great with Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and all that on the shelf. He's got the classic look goggles. It'll have the good quality McFarlane hair sculpt in there. I do hope that's a hand swap, the claw hand, though. I think it probably is. There was an early digital render I saw a while ago with a fisted hand on that right arm there, which I would prefer perhaps than having permanently the claw. If it's only that claw, again, that would be just really typical Todd McFarlane behaviour, where it's like, you are posing this figure and making it look the way I've designed it for you to pose and make it look, which is another element of the McFarlane experience that irks me. But while I'm on the subject of classic look uniforms, there's a Red Tornado that was announced. I'll probably skip this one, but it's a good solid classic uniform. Got a very classic looking steel there for folks who want to build out their Rainer Superman display. We've got a Superboy, haven't we? And we've got an Eradicator, although it's not a classic look Eradicator, nor is it a classic look Superboy, to be fair. But if you're building that out, or some version of that, you've got that there for you. Has he done the Cyborg Superman? I'll have to go back and check, but there's a steel for you there if you want it. Again, I'll probably skip that, but it's a good classic look one. It all works fine and dandy. So there you go. And that's just a handful that caught my eye. McFarlane just seems to, their Instagram page is like, new figure announcement. Do you want a Joe Cry's Batgirl? Here you go. Do you want an all green, transparent Batman? Here you go. Do you want some Dragon Slayer figures? Here's 15 of them I'm releasing tomorrow. It's just ridiculous and relentless. An Owlman, if you're into Crime Syndicate, Earth 2 type stuff. Yeah, just relentless. That's just a handful that caught my eye, and in there is a couple that I'll probably pre-order. But looking at the clock, I've already spent far too much time on McFarlane Toys, so let's talk about something else, shall we? Okay, I tell you what, let's get into some G.I. Joe Classified series now. My favourite line, hugely dominant on this channel. Many of my reviews are just G.I. Joe Classified series figures, because that's probably what I'm most heavily collecting at the moment. Word is that there's Hawks, there's Rippers, and there's Shockwaves making appearances across Target shelves, and some folks have had theirs shipped out. Depends who you pre-ordered with. Some companies got them, some companies didn't. There's one retailer over here in the UK who randomly had Shockwaves. Just randomly, not import stock or anything, just got some Shockwaves. which is, and I should have one on the way soon, actually, from that very retailer. But then others are still saying sort of pre-order expected in April next year or whatever it is. So the distribution on G.I. Joe Classified series is absolutely barmy, and no help at all to a growing YouTube channel like mine, might I add. It's very difficult for me to compete with some of them big boys out there who, not only pulling in the big subscriber numbers, but they're always first through the gate as well. But anyway, that's my hang-up, not yours. But it's absolutely wild. But great to see that some of the folks in the US are finally getting some G.I. Joe Classified series before the rest of the world, which might minimise some of the bitching and moaning on that front. So there we go. The word is keep an eye out on your Target shelves, folks. But sticking to the G.I. Joe Classified stuff, one piece of news that did kind of catch my eye, I think this was maybe the Full Force podcast Instagram I saw this floating around on, is that there's rumours of a retro-carded classic look Cobra Commander based on the one that's coming with the Hiss tank, which has got the Mickey Mouse reprint on the badge coming down the pipeline. There's one of these code word figure titles for shipping, and they're usually pretty on the button when they come out with this stuff. So a retro carded Cobra Commander, which is really exciting news. I'm very pleased to hear about that because I've not gone in on the big HasLabs. I just haven't got the space, haven't got the money to afford them. And the thing that stuck in my craw the most about the Hiss tank was a good solid classic look Cobra Commander like this. So if there's a retro version coming down the pipeline, possibly a bit less decked out, maybe without the hand swaps or something, I don't know, but possibly a bit less decked out, then that makes me a very happy chappy. And they've done it the right way, because then those who have gone in on Hiss tank have got something nice and unique and special for them, with the whole little tip of the hat to the misprint, but folks like me don't end up missing out. So it works on every level as far as I'm concerned. So that's really exciting news. A bit of rumour stuff knocking around that I heard. And on the G.I. Joe front, just today, in fact, I saw this. Shout out to my Discord bros for drawing my attention to this, but I think the source was the Full Force podcast. We've got head sculpts. Little sneaky peeks at early doors head sculpts for the Night Creeper, for the Ferret Rider, Naugahyde. Is it on that picture there? I feel like I saw a torch knocking around as well. And for some random reasons, Samuel L. Jackson. So, was Jules... Were Jules and Vincent G.I. Joe characters? I don't know, but is it me? Or does that look like Samuel L. Jackson on the end there? But so really exciting news, because when we see stuff like this leaking out from the production line, it indicates that the figures are well on their way to production, and we might be seeing something soon. So that's super exciting stuff on the G.I. Joe Classified series front, and I cannot wait. I just wish that the flow was a little bit more steady, and it didn't leave me with random quiet weeks like this where I've got nothing to review, and so you're watching me point at pictures on screens and rabbits on. Okay, well, let's take a little bit of a detour now. I've been starting to get a little bit more interested in kind of less mainstream lines. And I'll be frank, now the channel's monetized and there's a little bit of that lovely ad revenue money coming in. I'm planning on using that and putting it into perhaps getting some imports or some figures. They're a little bit more expensive. They're a little harder to get hold of here in the United Kingdom. I've been looking at the Monster Force stuff that's been announced, and some other Fresh Monkey Fiction stuff. And the other thing that caught my eye on that front recently was this guy here, the Spiro Toys Bushido figure digital render that they put out. So 6-inch scale, ancient samurai warrior. This was on their Instagram page again. In fact, all the news I've shared today has come from me prowling around following companies on Instagram. These guys are of a good pedigree. They're what they call the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, or Animal Warriors of the Animal Kingdom, I forget the name, come highly rated. If you go take a look at some of the big reviewers who cover that, they're spoken of favourably, positively. And so I've got no reason to think that they won't continue that trend and that quality level. Although I think that's 7-inch, isn't it? The Animal Kingdom Warriors of the Kingdom, or whatever, the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. I think that's 7-inch, whereas this was, they were talking about 1/12 with this, but it looks like a great figure. I love kind of ancient feudal Japan type stuff. I'm probably on a bit of a fix around that space at the moment, because I've just watched that Blue-Eyed Samurai animated series on Netflix, which was really good. Super enjoyed that, actually. But yeah, really into all that kind of stuff. I've watched those kind of old Japanese samurai movies for years, so very excited by this line. Hints of ancient kind of folklore creatures entering into the line, and there were some photos knocking around from a convention somewhere recently that I couldn't find, sorry, otherwise I'd put them up on the screen there. I don't know where I saw them, of different configurations of the armor and the head and stuff. So lots of customization, kit bash opportunity, or just a great solid samurai figure that would look fab, you know what I mean, really fab. But you can integrate it into other types of stuff. Get this guy fighting a hand ninja or a red ninja, or even a snake eyes or something, or a storm shadow. I think that'll look awesome. So yeah, just something a bit outside of the mainstream, a little bit off the beaten track that caught my eye, that I'm very, very excited about, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on that, with a promise, folks, that the ad revenue that your viewership has provided me with is going to be going into getting some more stuff like that to review and discuss on the channel. All right, let's just do one last thing, I suppose. I'm looking at the recording time there, and, well, as we know, I can talk. I go on and on and on and on, and I can talk and talk and talk, and I've ended up feeling far more air. It was supposed to be like a quick and punchy, hey, here's some things that caught my eye. And that's not happened, does it? But in any case, one last thing I wanted to talk about, the Marvel Legends Lilandra figure that was announced, again, at a convention somewhere around and about. I can't remember, but I saw this digital render when the official one came out on the Instas. Or maybe this was Dan Yunn's Twitter. Anyway, it's there. And yeah, Lilandra, great. The main thrust of my Marvel Legends collecting, largely speaking, is dominated by collecting X-Men characters, particularly X-Men characters of a classic nature, 70s, 80s, 90s kind of characters, of which Lilandra is one. I think it's looking all right. There's only so much you can tell from the digital render. I'm a bit uncertain about what the articulation scheme is that they're going to have going on there, but she's got all the aesthetic kind of elements, the cape, the helmet, the little shiar, cape brooch lock thing on there, so it looks pretty decent. I'll be interested to see what that one looks like in hand, but it's about the only thing Marvel Legends related, really, of at any level that has caught my eye for months and months and months and months now, really. Other than the X-Men 97 stuff that I picked up that came down the pipeline. But actually, in Marvel Legends' defense, there's been a big Spider-Man focus of late, and I don't collect Spider-Man stuff, so that's a me thing and not a them thing, I suppose. But this is about the only thing that's caught my eye recently. So yeah, it'd be fun to have a Lilandra. It will look great with Corsairs, with Professor X's and stuff, and get some interesting things going on with your displays and your dios there. So yeah, looking forward to seeing something a bit more three-dimensional and in hand on this one to get a real feel for it. But yeah, good solid character. Hopefully she'll have a staff or something, at least a little bit of accessory, although we all know how stingy Hasbro can be with their Marvel Legends accessories. Well, there we go then, folks. There is the first and possibly the only ever
Listen to your friend Chris
that I'll do on this channel. I would welcome feedback and let me know in the comments down below. There's a little community of regulars around here that I do love and appreciate. So you guys jump on and let me know if this is the type of thing you want to see me do more of. I may even dabble in a bit of live streaming. Would this be the sort of thing you like to do? Live stream where we can interact and chat about it. Comments of that nature, all welcome. Just let me know your thoughts. Or if it's a case of, it's not working, Chris, stick to your reviews, I'd appreciate that too. That would help me out as well. But it was a quiet week. I wanted to lay something down, and I thought I'd try something new. But I'm not copying, all right? I'm drawing inspiration from other YouTube channels, just to be very clear. All right, well, that brings me to the end. Thank you so very much. Give me a like if you've appreciated my thoughts and comments today. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and all that good YouTubey stuff that we all ask you to do by pressing buttons and doing things down below. They've got little animations on them now. That's exciting. You should do that just for that little endorphin hit from that. But yeah, there'll be more reviews coming soon. Hopefully some pre-orders will actually arrive here at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Towers. But I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again sometime soon. Ta-ra!